Hey, welcome everybody. This is the fourth episode of Legends of Tabletop. This is John, and with me tonight we have almost a full cast. We'll start up first here with my stalwart companion Vince.
Or this. Never mind.
For that,
That's all I got.
Doesn't work on an audio podcast.
No.
He's flashing
it's live. It's live.
That's true.
The five people that watch live, say hello to them.
We also have with us tonight Neil, who was the founder of the Nerdbound podcast, which originally got me going with podcasting and tons of games.
Yay! How's it going?
Woohoo! And
thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here and participating. And we also have David, also known as Tondi, who runs the Dice Heroes podcast.
Dave's not here, man. It is very strange to hear my name being used on the internet. Also, Neil's a motherfucker.
Hey!
That's cool.
It has been I don't know how many years, but it's been a long
years,
time.
Man, years, yeah.
Long time since I've heard Neil's voice, so I've got to get some digs in.
Yep, I miss my favorite Australian.
You're only Australian?
I know. I listen to Mysterious Universe a lot, so I feel like they could really overtake you there. But yeah, because I listen to them like 2 times a week for 2 hours, so you got to keep up.
Yeah, this one podcast a week, just can't do it. All right, well. As I say, tonight we're going to be talking about introducing new systems to your gaming group and the trials and tribulations that entails. That was our theme for this month. There's at least 2 articles posted up there that talk about the subject. And
you're welcome.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Finally writing stuff.
Yeah, what are you stroking your puss over there, John?
Yes, I do have my old lady on my lap here, my 15-year-old cat.
Oh, 15, that's old.
She's
old.
Awesome. Yeah. Unfortunately, we had to put her brother down last year.
Oh, bummer.
It was no fun. But she's hanging in there.
Way to bring it down. Bring it down at the top of the whole thing.
And if you like killing cats, you'll love introducing new systems to your game.
Euthanasia and D&D.
So I was going to throw
which
this
one is
right
easier.
to Neil.
Yeah. What?
What? I was going to throw this right to you because running your own podcast, you got me to play, I don't know, a bajillion different systems, and I know the core group, it was a little bit harder to get them to branch out. It was mostly a D&D podcast.
Yeah,
but,
it was nearly impossible. Yeah.
So what? So what do you do to try to get people to play some different games?
One, it helps if you yourself seem to have some kind of adult onset ADHD. I feel like I used to be really focused, but then eventually I think this is part of the article that I put up was, for me, when you're running like a 3-year campaign, man, it's hard. Eventually you just kind of get kind of gets worn out, and we didn't do seasons, which in hindsight probably would have been smarter to have a couple-month break here and there that gave me a chance to kind of recoup, but my form of recouping was throwing out new games to play, because I'd always read some new system and be like, oh, God, I have so many great ideas for this. So I think the first thing, I think you really do have to sell it. So if there's something you want to play, some game that comes across the table and you're like, oh, my God, this sounds so awesome. I want to give this a shot. Number one, sell it. If you don't think it's going to be fun, they're not going to want to play it at all. So as the GM, you really got to get excited, pitch the idea, and really give a confident, I have a good plan for a session for this. And I think that's what usually led me to be able to do some of those games, was to be like, hey guys, let's just do this crazy superhero thing. or let's do this crazy horror survival thing. But I always had a plan, at least, for a kind of like a concept that I could pitch out. Like, here's the stuff, haunted house gone awry or something. So you kind of have a pitch to them that they're like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm interested.
Right, and the superhero game led to one of the better characters, Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy. Jimmy still haunts my dreams.
Which, of course, this reference will only make a difference to, like, you and me and Tondi.
Yeah.
Just remind Tondi, who was Jimmy?
Jimmy was like a pawnbroker or some like street drug dealer or something. I don't even remember.
Yes, he owned a pawn shop.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I believe his name was actually Jimmy Walker.
I think it was.
It got worse from there. It was borderline. I don't even think borderline. I think it was just full-on racist. Actually, I felt like it was very stereotypical, and I really regret choosing those character features. But he ended up being beloved. A lot of people liked him. So, that was Mutants and Mastermind. And not Mutants and Masterminds. That was Wild Talents was the system.
Talents, yeah. Yep.
Wild Talents is an okay system, but I think it has a lot of flaws that I really felt Mutants and Masterminds would have fixed, and no one ever got organized to play that, sadly.
Yeah, I think, isn't Wild Talents have just like a massive character creation, or is that the other one?
Other one, yeah. Mutants and Wild Talents was one roll engine. Oh,
okay.
No, it was. That's right. Mutants and Masterminds actually was easier. There's like a character creator that I used that I remade everyone's character. Also, another hint for getting people to play a game, make their characters for them. Get a character concept unless they're super anal and want to make it themselves, that's fine. But a lot of people are like, I want to play this person. You just make it for them, and then they can tweak it.
It's a good idea.
Cool.
Yeah, you really, if you know your players, if you make it easy for them, and one of the biggest barriers for a new game is character creation, especially if it's a difficult system. If you find a spreadsheet online, because everyone's made those spreadsheets that auto-calculate things, defenses, attacks, that type of thing, or if you want to put the work in and build it for them, which is something that if you're nice like Neil, you might do. Or pre-gens, I think that's something else that you mentioned in your article, Neil. But if you remove those barriers to entry, it really will make your pitch easier to sell.
And it seems like you've had quite a bit of success there as well, Tondi. You guys have played quite a few different systems there. What are the guys generally, when you're like, oh, let's play this new thing? Do you get is it a groan and geez, we're having fun with this other thing, or are they pretty gung ho?
It's a little bit mixed for us at the moment. We've gotten into a habit of changing games, I guess. So I'm very, very lucky with my gaming group. We all GM, we all introduce new games, and it's kind of become the attitude for us. And part of that might be because we're podcasting, so we know people are listening and new games are interesting. Some of it might just be because we're all fairly we're so comfortable with each other, like there's no chance that, any offense that we could create by saying, oh, let's play something else, is quickly gone away because we're all mates. That might be an Australian thing. I don't know how you Americans react.
We hate everything and everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a good point, though. I actually wrote my first post, but I think it's stuck in WordPress somewhere.
Yeah, we have to go in and we still have to release that. We'll probably be posted up. What is it?
Wednesday.
Thursday or Friday, I think.
Cool. But one of the sections I've got in there is people don't like change, and if you go in there knowing that, you're going to come in with a much more educated viewpoint about why you should be trying something new. Because I honestly think that we are all much better gamers because we rotate and try new things, try new systems, get in new settings. For us, in particular, it's really fun. But there is a big drawback in that the epicness that you can get from like a one-year campaign, which we've also done, the attachments and the stories and the epic arcs are much harder to get as a game master and as a player. So for us, it's really been finding a balance between attaching onto characters and like really loving the game and the world, and not playing so long that you get bored, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think too, like you said, with having a podcast, I think that lends itself, at least a little bit easier to try to get, the group to, try something a little bit different. Our PPR is famous for that. They, as much Call of Cthulhu as they play, they play quite a few different systems. And then there's some other podcasts that do the same thing as well. I think where the real issue comes in when you got people just sitting around hanging out and hey, let's play some D&D, and like you say, you get caught up in that epic campaign, but after a while there is some kind of burnout. I mean, Vince ran a campaign for us. We started with Keep on the Shadowfell, and we ran those characters up till Paragon tier, and by the time we wrapped that game up, it was kind of like, ugh, this is all right, because you do want to do something different. And how was that for you, Vince? Running the same game for, geez, it had to be what, 4 years?
Yeah, the longest I ever ran was an Undermountain campaign back in '91 through '96. That was interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was almost every Friday. That was interesting.
That is a long time.
Yeah,
for a weekly game.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing though. I learned a lot about dungeon mastering and player character creation and integrating all the eccentricities of the characters into the game itself and incorporating it, like which I mentioned in my post, like a player may have an animal companion that's sort of sentient, and there was one instance where it just ran off. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to use that. So it runs off and finds a lair of something else, and then that kind of just dovetailed and added on to the campaign from there, small little pieces. But yeah, after a while, I know I kind of digressed there, but after a while you do get tired. It's like anything. Too much of anything is you get stagnant, and you want to change it up and do something different.
So did you throw any new games in? I mean, was it only that game for like 5 years, or did you like throw in some other games? And did you find it refreshing creatively?
We did. We went to in between all that. We would sometimes break off and do Shadowrun, Star Frontiers. For a while, it was a little bit of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But yeah. Every once in a while, you change it up and you throw in something new, and then you come back. You leave off, and I took pretty good notes. I have reams of paper and notebooks from that era of all the campaign happenings. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, definitely have to break out every once in a while and refresh it and make it new, kind of recharge.
And there are games like Shadowrun that are perfect for that, where you do. Where you do want to keep that, or like as a game master, you might have an epic story to tell, but something like Shadowrun where you can say, righto, we're going to do one job, you're going to do a run, and
exactly,
refresh and come back. There's heaps of games nowadays, especially with all the indie boom, I guess.
Yeah, and that's true. That's an interesting point as well. Back then, there weren't that many options for other games. So especially in the late 80s, early 90s, and you're left with maybe a handful of things to deal with. So.
Yeah, I think that
Now.
kind of that to me speaks to, I think the indie boom to me was like the greatest thing for things like drive-through RPG.
Oh yeah.
That's a plug. Hey guys, you should sponsor this podcast. That's all I
saw
do.
that in your article too. What's are we getting sponsored or what?
I don't know. I'm just saying. Look. That was for free. The first one's for free.
Everyone out there. Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, I have bought so much through drive-through RPG, or that's where I got because they have all these indie games, right? That it's easy to publish.
What's the URL?
www.drivethrurpg.com. I don't get anything for this, guys. This is free. This is free advertising. But if they want to sponsor, and if anyone wants to beat them out by having me talk about them, send an email to one of these guys.
We're not picky.
Yeah, Legends of Tabletop at gmail.com.
There you go. Send an email, and I will be more than happy to plug anyone else. But I think the indie thing helped because it's a double-edged sword, and John pointed out, we tried a lot of games, and the indie thing, like games like Shadowrun, right? There's an imprimatur there where you know what to expect, and the game is going to get. What's going to come with it. Like the rule set is, it gets modified and expanded or refined. But then you have games like Shotgun Diaries, which I really enjoyed running.
I'm gonna run.
Man, I got a lot of shit for that game, and it was like, I just got this game, right? It was a review copy. Let's try it out, and everyone hated me for it. So. Sometimes your games are going to fail, and you just hope more of them succeed than fail. But
no, you can always count on Jose to bring a game like that and make it memorable.
Oh God!
I'm just going to run away. My power is to run. I'm just going to run.
Yeah, was that
run away?
Was that the one where he was trying to attack something with a sword, and I said, if you make that, you literally will die. Like you 100%. Like,
Jesus.
You will die, and he just went, I still do it. And I'm like, but I'm telling you right now, you can change your action from I 100% am going to kill you to... And he just didn't care. He was... Well, he was dedicated to character. That's all he cares about. So,
we digress.
Yeah, I think that's another thing is, strong characters. You generate characters over time, but I think having stereotypes or bold characters when you're doing a one-shot does also help make sure people have fun. And
don't underestimate the power of character generation, though. Like, for a lot of people, and I'm one of them, character generation is a huge part of tabletop role-playing games.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm not the only one who's got a bunch of different D&D characters or X-system characters they've built they will never play, but they just wanted to build them.
Just play with the mechanics.
Yep.
Yeah. So having, setting up the pitch and saying what type of characters are available, and then having a dedicated session where you build and help build and be the kind of rules guy to try and facilitate that can actually be a great night of gaming in itself. Often I'm usually the one thinking that we're going to do that in my group and then showing up without a character and everyone else has built theirs. But it's a good concept.
Well, and it sort of lays the foundation then for that game because through the character creation you're by default gonna learn some of the rules. Like, okay, well, why do I want strength at this, or why do I want this particular skill? Oh, okay, it's going to be useful in this instance. So you kind of get a buy-in with the creation and then an understanding of what the expectations are. And that can lead to some strong characters and certainly some memorable gameplay.
And I think Well, I know when I build a character in any game, no matter how the game goes, I usually like that character. Or no matter how long that character lives, I'll always have an attachment to that character. Sometimes their death will be the biggest thing that you remember about them.
Sure.
But often, like Neil mentioned previously, that you might run a game or change to a game and it might suck. But that doesn't mean that there's no value in it. One of my personal experiences with this is in a game, in a Dresden Files game. And I really didn't enjoy the game at all, because partly because I made a character that didn't really fit, but I really loved that character. The concept of the character was an embodiment of internet searches or something like that, which doesn't really, well, I couldn't really fit it into the mythos, so he was pretty much completely useless in the game. But the character's name was Troll. He wore like memes and Pikachu suits, and he was a sarcastic son of a bitch. And I loved him, but I hated the game.
Right. Well, and sometimes too, you play a new system and, either the game doesn't go well or, one or two people are like, I could take it or leave it. And, you learn what kinds of games that do fit with the group or, that fit with your own personal play style. Most people like D&D, but, they may not like, Rogue Trader or, some other crunchy system, either, for the setting or the mechanics or whatever it is. And then, you tend to steer clear of those types of games, but, still have the option to introduce other systems, like, maybe, something completely goofy like Monster Hearts or something like that. But you don't know unless you try it.
I think that brings up an interesting point to me that I think is sometimes hard to balance with introducing new systems. And the one-shot, I mean, I think we all tend to think a one-shot's a great, you just say, let's do a one-time kind of encapsulated adventure, and maybe it's 2 sessions, whatever, 1 or 2 sessions. But I think sometimes it's challenging, or it was for me, to balance characters who are there, or players who are role players, and players who are like the crunchy, I just like to roll dice and kill stuff. And that was something that I think was always difficult when you're looking at indie games, especially because they tend to be, at least in my opinion, very skewed one or the other. Or at least maybe that's just the ones I chose. But I think that's something I had a hard time balancing, was crunch versus fluff, and people who really like to sink their teeth into one versus the other.
Right. Well, in a one shot too, I guess that's kind of hard to really find that balance, because if there's a ton of crunch, there's a lot to overcome to get people. If you get them to buy in and they're like, okay, well, we're going to play, and then you get in and you're like, here's the rules, boom, and you throw this big thing down on the table, they're like, maybe this was a bad idea. And maybe the game doesn't. It could be fun, and they might have had a great time, but they've already convinced themselves, oh, this is going to be too complicated. Forget it. I don't like it.
Yeah. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the article. I don't know. I write stuff and it dumps out of my brain, but like the worst system for that to me is BattleTech. Like, I wanted to run it so bad, but creating a character is literally like doing a fucking thesis. Like, it's brutal.
Without that builder, because we played one session.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit of role play, and then it was just pretty much us counting hexes for the rest of the night.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal. For like, it's not a very good podcasting. Even I actually played a game of the RPG that wasn't focused on like the mech stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But man, like coming up with a character, if you don't care, I guess you could have just like picked some shit. But if you wanted to make a character that was even at all functional, like it required a huge investment.
Well, there was like a billion points to to pick from, your education level, oh man, without that builder, you almost couldn't do it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure I have to like, if you didn't graduate from college, you're never gonna make it to graduating from high school in BattleTech because it's so complicated. It's a great game though. I don't want to like shit on it. I love it because it's super detailed and has some really cool shit you can do. But man, like one shots, you can definitely go Shotgun Diaries way too little rules. That's just kind of a free for all. But I actually find Shadowrun was a huge hurdle. I could never get people to play Shadowrun because it's like so much shit.
Shadowrun is a very rules-heavy book, and the problem with it is it's usually broken. But I mean, that's also kind of a attracting factor for a lot of players. Like I know that the crew that I game with, they've got a long history with Shadowrun, so it's like nothing, no dice pool is less than 10 dice kind of thing. And that's kind of part of the fun of it for them. But the latest edition of Shadowrun in particular, I had some major problems running because the Matrix rules, so the internet rules, sound so cool, but are so broken. So broken that I could not make, like in a lot of ways, I forced a character to retire because they were just non-functional in the world of Shadowrun as written. And
It's not very helpful.
that's, yeah. You really need to pick and choose your systems when you're introducing them for the not just the group, but the time frame you're expecting to go for. So we talked a lot about one-shots. Bear in mind, if you've never run a one-shot before, it's usually not going to be one night. I've not run many one-shots which actually you got to a conclusion, and you either need to say, all right, we're going to stop mid-story, or we're going to play again next week and conclude things up.
Mm-hmm. I can especially see that with something like, Call of Cthulhu or something like that. The players, take the red herring and go off way out in left field, and, they haven't discovered half of the things that the story encompasses. You don't want to just rein them back in, or you give them an idea roll or something like that. But, players being what they are, once they get going, they can be, way away from story.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. One shot may be a bad name for that. Like one shot for like a con game where you're purposely thinking. I mean, those are almost always like, I basically plan for you to walk through a cave and have 2 encounters and then, big boss and you win. So those are, I agree. I've almost never run a one shot that's one night. That almost never happens unless you just shoehorn it in, I guess, and try to wrap it up.
Yeah, rocks fall, you die.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that Fear Itself game we played, I think that was just a one session game.
The town one, not the first one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah, I think if you've run the system a couple times, you might be able to do that. Personally, I think Fear Itself is one of those games that lends itself to that, which is why I kind of want to run it as one-shots, kind of tied together, because I think it's one of those almost like, literally it's like an episode of a TV show, where although an episode of a TV show might be half an hour, 3 hours of screwing around, you'll probably get to the conclusion, or you can get to a reasonable conclusion. So I think some of those work. I don't know. Games like, the big games, right? Like Shadowrun or Pathfinder, even D&D, BattleTech, Rogue Trader. I think it's hard to do a full one shot in a night with some of those systems. One, because you're going to teach people rules that are often hard to get the grasp of entirely, and two, I think you kind of want to do something big enough that they feel like. I think scale is something you got to think about, where you're not just like, walk into a bank and rob it for $1,000 and leave. Like, you want it to be something that's like, oh, that's awesome, we accomplished something. Because my goal, at least, is that people would want to play it again.
Sure.
You know, maybe not as a campaign, but like, oh, let's take a break and every once in a while throw in a couple sessions of that.
Mm-hmm. Either with the same characters or just a whole new game.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I think that's that. Yeah, the one shot. Well, we played one shots with Tad for Rogue Trader and Andy with Death Watch, but they turned into little mini campaigns where we just kept those characters and kind of threw them in every couple of months or something like that when we get people together.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I kind of like the idea, of the Dice Heroes model of, some of them might be a session or two sessions.
Dave?
Yeah, we sorry, I didn't realize that was a question. We have had, I think, one game where we played Robotech for one night. Everything other than that we've done as basically a short season. And even if we find ourselves not too happy with it for whatever reason, rules might suck, we maybe had some misconceptions about the game setting. Recently we played a game because we thought we were going to play cool pirates, but it was more like a D&D-esque game. And we were like, oh, this isn't what we were expecting. We wanted to be cool, flamboyant pirates. Flamboyant might not be the right word. But we acknowledged it. All right, this isn't working, but let's kind of play it through a season. So short. So for a couple of weeks, maybe a month total we played, maybe a little bit more. And like, we gave ourselves an opportunity to see what merits there were. And, I would never recommend continuing a game if everybody's just like, we're not having fun. The aim of the game is to have fun.
Sure.
But sometimes, like in Shadowrun, I hate the Matrix rules, but there's definitely fun in Shadowrun. One of the reasons it's so popular is there must be fun in there. It can't just be people scratching their rules ahead of the rules saying, I think you roll 1 million dice 3 times to work out damage. But there's definitely some epic moments and fun that can be had. So I guess unless you've got some personalities in your group that are not going to be forgiving, running a short course I'd definitely recommend. One of the biggest reasons is even though there might be nothing of real worth, there may be one thing that you can grab and bring to another game, one rule concept or one thing in a story that you think might work well in another game. And what we found, because we have a fairly well-balanced players in our group, but we do have the people who are mechanics and not story-orientated. But when we're going to play some Fate now, which forces you to do story.
Mm-hmm.
And after Fate, we might review it and say, no, it was a little bit too much story. We didn't like the limitations. But we do find in the next games that we do play, some of that still comes over, and I think it improves you as a role player.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, that's never a bad thing. The listening to the Dragon Festers, when I first started listening to them, it seemed like, at every opportunity they would try to hamstring their characters. And I talked to Jesse about it one day. I said, man, what the hell is going on with your group? And he said, oh, they really get into it. And, in the seasons that I've been in, which only one's been posted, we're still recording, we'll go whole sessions and just RP. I mean, we might not even roll dice in, a 3 or 4 hour session. So it's definitely a cool thing. And I've been lucky just insofar as being involved with all these different podcasts and stuff, to be involved in all these different systems as a player. Like I mentioned in my article, when
Somebody's
fifth edition.
echoing.
What's that, Neil? Or Vince?
I'm getting an echo on you.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me unplug and replug in.
And myself. So someone's speakers are feeding back. Let me try something here. Test. All right. Test. It looks like it's.
I'm on a phone with a headset, so.
That might be it.
I'll mute.
Test. It's not you.
Let me see if I mute what happens.
Okay. Test. It's you.
Motherfucker.
Motherfucker! That's alright. You can unmute.
Alright, let me try this. Just normal handset.
That's better. Oh wait, no, still there.
Hold on. Why is it on speaker? Uh-oh. This is weird.
Oh no.
I'm on phone. What the hell is happening? It's also like 1,000,000,000 degrees because of the case, I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't usually use a case, and
Holding all the heat in.
I was mowing the lawn, so I needed that one case. Alright, you guys still getting the echo?
Test. Yep.
That is
John,
weird, because... So weird, because there's no there's nothing coming out of my speakers. That's the weird thing. Let me just call back in. BRB.
Okay. John, you're muted. I can't hear anything you're saying. I actually kind of like it like this. We can supply our own dialogue for you. We see you. Alright.
Still echoing?
Nope, that's cool. But now
Oh
John's
man, I look really fat in this. What is wrong? I'm gonna turn this camera off.
This is
the camera has 20 pounds. Distracting.
John, what the fuck? We can't hear you. You're just. We're gonna start supplying dialogue for you. Nope, there's still nothing. Yeah, you might. You know what? Yeah. What did you do? I got a push in your lap. What did you do over there? Sign. Can you hold up? Go in the. You could talk in the chat.
Technical difficulties.
Well, we kind of figured you were saying what the fuck. You didn't have to type. What did you unplug your mic? All right, here's what we'll do. We'll continue. You type, and we'll read for you. There you go.
You might got to call back in, buddy.
Yeah, I unplugged and replugged it. Sometimes that, yeah, especially with you being the host. So John says,
might be bad.
Yeah, John says, "What the fuck? I unplugged and replugged in the mic. I'm hosting." Yes, you are indeed hosting. So you might have to rehost. This is bullshit. It's kind of fun. What else we got over here? What was the last thing we were talking about?
It's too much awesome.
Exactly. It's just, it overwhelmed John's speakers and headphone rig. God damn it. Keep going. What else you got?
So my Hangouts is saying like, hey, Hangouts isn't responding. So maybe Hangouts is freaking out a bit, but
it's possible. We are still alive though.
oh well, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
There's something.
Yeah. We're still live. We're still recording. We just can't hear a goddamn thing John is saying.
So that's not embarrassing at all, guys. If for the two of you listening live, I would apologize, but apparently you're listening live to this, so you have nothing better to do. You must live literally in a tent in the desert.
True that.
Hey,
Or they have.
don't talk to your mom like that.
Oh, if only my mom could. If my mom could figure out how to watch a video live on the internet, it would make my life a whole lot easier.
That's funny. Should we restart? We can. You'll start a new recording. And they're gonna make my job harder splicing that shit together later. You bastard. Tough shit. We can't hear it. Let me turn it up. If only that worked on your headphones. Oh my god. Well.
Turn it up.
Turn
those motherfucking speakers up. Turn his headphones up.
That's right. Well, I got nothing. So where is everybody? Everything is working. I can't. We're going to talk. Sorry, we're going to keep going. So where's everybody at? David, where you at?
As in, where am I located?
You what?
As in, where am I?
Yeah, geographically. Like, yeah, in general.
Hello?
There he is.
Oh, motherfucker. God damn it. Sorry, Dave, or Tondi. I didn't mean to block you out.
That's alright. I was going to give my exact location so I could get internet sniped.
No, general location.
I live in central Queensland, so the big pointy bit in Australia. You put your finger right at the bottom of the Great Barrier Reef, and that's where I live.
Oh wow, that sounds pretty cool.
So you're going to put me up when I come out to visit? Is that what we agreed to?
If you're visiting anywhere near me, you're doing the wrong thing.
Is it like a 34-hour ride and by flight or some shit? I mean, that's just...
Well, I'm halfway there. I'm on the West Coast.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you're probably only like 14, 15 hours.
Oh, only.
It's nothing. That's like a quick name.
You know what? You gotta sedate me for the entire... Just put me in the cargo hold. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, LA Auckland was 13 hours. That was a rough flight, but
oh man,
you know. Then Chicago, China or Shanghai was fucking brutal. So that was a long ass flight. That was like 14 hours. So
oh fuck that.
I'm in Florida.
Okay. Yeah, you're down there in the swamplands with the.
Getting ready for hurricanes.
It's okay, I guess. I'd rather be back in North Carolina, but, you know, there are opportunities here, so it happens.
Nice. I'm in New Jersey.
And you're at where, Vince? Yeah, there you go.
New Jersey, the lovely armpit of America. Yes.
My wife is from New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Sorry to hear that. No, I'm kidding. New Jersey.
Yeah, she liked it, you know. It's her school system was way better than the Florida school system, so, you know.
Northern Jersey or southern?
Northern, yeah. Kind of middle, northern.
Okay.
Near Morristown.
Gotcha. I was just about to
that's
ask
way
that.
north.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
so she had like a real school system apparently with like classes and requirements and stuff.
Standards.
I went to school in West Virginia where you're lucky to have a school at all. So,
you have one book.
Yeah.
There's chickens in the classroom.
The one book is called Learning. That's it.
Learning, reading, writing, arithmetic.
That's right. 3 R's, that's your book.
And next to the book, there's a stick.
That's right.
Well.
Nowadays, most people just wash themselves with that stick.
So I've got 10 minutes. So what do you want to do?
Okay, so we want to give a brief recap here. So what we're saying is, if you want to get your players to try some new systems, sit them down, talk to them about it, and you know your players better than anybody else. You know what they're interested in. Usually, you're all going to have similar interests. Pick a system that you think that they're going to like. You all like Star Wars? Hey, try Star Wars. You could do it in Fate. You can do Saga. There's tons of different ways you can do it. Um, run a one shot, pre-gen characters, have everybody down and do a whole session of just character creation.
Excuse me.
What else do we got? I forget. I wrote
something that came up that I think I was in the article, but I didn't say this during this session. Encourage people to take risks. If the game goes really well and they want to play again, screw it. You can roll another character. If you die in a one shot or in 2 episodes or 2 sessions, who fucking cares? Like, play something awesome and play all the way, like, balls out. Just go crazy. Because that's when you're going to be heroic. That's what I like. I think I've had a lot of fun because people just don't give a shit because they're not like, oh, I've invested hours in this. So I think that's another thing that helps. Maybe you can encourage people to just branch out and say, screw it.
Yeah, they're not
Just have fun.
hesitant to take risks, like you said, because they're invested in the character that they spent, 4 days creating.
And you don't want to lose all those sweet loots.
That's right. Like, oh god, I got that fucking hammer of Falsa Dune or some bullshit. Like, I can't if I do lose this character, it's gonna suck. So like,
my Vorpal weapon.
That's right. So screw it. Just I think you should play, a little riskier. And if it goes well, hey, you can roll a new character, or just say fucking retcon. You didn't die for the actual game you're gonna run. And if you don't die and if you die and it goes horribly wrong, you're like, well, at least you went out guns blazing. So I think that's another thing that is a selling point, or throwing out those alternate systems here and there.
And vice versa with that. When you're GMing that and you're expecting that from your players, make sure that you're catering for that, because if you start saying, oh, that's going to require a skill check to jump on that, and then another skill check to do a flip, and then another one, it's like, I shoot him, So
yeah,
enable the player to do that as well. And
but that goes for your regular games too.
Out the window. Yeah, but in a regular game, there's sometimes you don't want to set precedents. So it is a little bit more understanding. You should always be flexible, always. I completely agree with that. But like the balls out bullshit that Neil talks about.
Yeah. But you don't like the game with your balls out? I mean, come on.
Is that the official title of your next article?
Yeah.
Balls out bullshit.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, granted, a lot of the one-shots, like Fear itself, the whole point is if you don't kill somebody, for instance, in a Fear itself or a Trail of Cthulhu or a Call of Cthulhu game, you're not playing it right. Like, you're just not playing it right if someone doesn't die. Like, you gotta kill. Someone's gotta die. That's just the way those games work. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think you should go, like, wacky, zany, I turn into a giant mushroom and everyone gets hallucinogenically high and kills themselves. This is like that's, within reason, but I think you can take chances.
That sounds like Gamma World.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It's a lot like Gamma World.
Well,
I think one of the underlying things that we have just implied is, if you want to try a new system, be prepared to do the work. Don't expect other people to do it for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Well, I was going to dovetail what Dave said earlier, maybe about, when you said you're playing Fate and, it may be too much role play, but, it tends to carry over into the other games. So, like Neil was saying, you want to play balls out, be heroic, do the crazy things, so that one shot can maybe carry over to, your regular campaign where, maybe players kind of
One
think
ball
outside
out.
of the box a little
Yeah.
bit more, and oh, I can do this one thing on my sheet and I do it really good, but you know what? I want to do this other thing because it's crazy and it sounds really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, one ball out. Just one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that. Let's just go. I'll just do my next arc will be called Just One Ball Out. That's all right.
One ball out. There you go.
Sweet. So do we have any other?
OBO.
Do we have any other closing thoughts here, Dave? You gotta take off here shortly.
I would definitely recommend trying it out. If you have ever been interested, find a game system you think your players will like, find a setting that your players will like. If something doesn't exist, find a game system where you can create your own setting. But be prepared to do the work, and if they say no, that's okay. There's heaps of different avenues for people to game. Get your fix another way. Don't wear it don't take it to heart. People are extremely emotional about role-playing games, so you won't lose anything from trying.
Absolutely.
Word.
In the age of the internet, you can find a game practically everywhere, and you can find any system you're looking for. You just have to search it out a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's another thing. If your regular gaming group wants to stick with what they want to stick with, that's fine. Look for gamers on the internet. Do a forum game. We've had a lot of success historically. I think everyone on here right now has had some success with forum-based games. I think that also, I think with what Tondi said, put in the work. As the GM, the one pitching the new system, you've really got to make it easy on the other players. You put in the work. You make sure it's going to run smoothly. Know your shit. Don't be sitting there looking up rules for half an hour. Just don't do that ever. Make it run smoothly. But a forum game is a great way, I've found, to test a system sometimes because it gives you time to think or look up a rule. Or come up with a really great story because you can think for a few seconds or a few hours if you need, instead of having to come up with something on the fly. So I encourage folks to try those types of avenues as well. I actually think those have been some of the really fun games I've been in, even though they weren't live and in person.
Well, how long did Tondi's game? I mean, that 4E game ran for what?
A long time.
4 years?
Yeah.
And the Rogue Trader game ran for almost as long.
Yeah.
We had tons of games on the forums.
Yeah, I ran a Trail of Cthulhu that I think you went insane and murdered most of the group or something, I'm pretty sure.
No, I think it was Tondi because he ate me at the end of the thing.
Oh, that's right. I think he might have shot and murdered you all, which was pretty awesome.
He ran away and I chased him, and I don't know how I wound up getting killed, but I think the closing scene was him pulling my guts out.
Yeah, so those are some good games.
That from my mental mind. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of tools out there, to play a forum game, also, and it seems like, at least from my side of things, when I was looking to put that together, you could usually, unless it was a really obscure system, get a few folks willing to at least, give it a whirl, and with that, put the work in, actually post, drive things, so make sure it doesn't die from
And if you don't know where to look for a forum, check out legendsoftabletop.com.
There you go.
Exactly. It's a work in progress, but we are slowly but surely we're getting there.
And if anyone's listening, I will run games on that forum because I want to run some more games, and I don't know what to run yet. Fear itself is the one on my current top of the list because I have an interesting episodic campaign idea for it. So check out the forums, guys. Sign up.
See, so now I'm going to have to finish that by the end of the week.
Yeah, you fuck. It's only been sitting there moldering for about 8 weeks.
Whatever. Hey, I tell you what, Neil, that Fear Itself forum game that you were running before everything went to hell was a ton of fun. I mean, just character-wise was so much fun.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I have so many ideas now because I listen to a shit ton of horror fiction podcasts that give great fodder
Cool.
for game sessions.
Sure.
So I have like season upon season of episodes that I'm like, ooh, that would make a great game. So I'm motivated.
Well, we'll have to
All right,
get
gents,
something
I
together.
have to head off.
All right. Thanks,
All
Tondi,
right,
for coming.
Tondi,
Nice to
Good
meet
to
you.
talk to you.
good hearing from you, buddy.
He's not leaving.
He's stuck.
Okay, now we can talk about Tondi.
Ah, what a dick.
That's horrible.
I miss Tondi. He's such a fun guy.
He ran some really good games for us.
Yeah, he had probably, well, the two best forum games I've ever played in were his. Those might have been the two best campaigns I've ever been in so far.
They were a ton of fun.
Yeah, he had good ideas.
Of course, this doesn't mean anything except to you and me, but
Yeah, well, my current Star Wars game is actually really fun, so if anyone's looking for one-shots, I actually think the beginner game rules or quick start rules for the Edge of the Empire, although I will say the dice is a bit of a hindrance for people, but I actually like the system. I think it plays great. It's fast to learn once you realize what the symbols mean. But I've had a lot of fun with that. That's my weekly game now that I don't have to GM, so that's awesome. But it's a fun system.
well, the game that we sort of started was fun. We just can't get anybody together.
Yeah, that's the problem is, like, no one ever, I can't get people even remotely on the internet, so
Well,
what are you going to do?
the nice thing about that game is for people who don't have a tendency to really get in or get in and really role play. It forces you into that sort of a dynamic because, with the dice being what they are, you really kind of have to narrate, what's going on, and it kind of helps you to break out of the mold of your normal play style.
Yeah, and I love there was a game recently that we had multiple in the night. So if, quick summary, there are such things as called triumphs and despair dice that don't cancel out successes and failures. So you can succeed but get a despair, which means you succeed in what you wanted to do, but then something really fucking bad happens. And so we had it so that people succeeded with like 3 or 4 successes that canceled out all failures, plus 3 successes and a despair. So, we were like, what the fuck happens? And so the GM had to come up with, so you shoot the guy, but then something really horrific happens that really screws you over. And so it was 3 or 4 in a night. And it was why? What is happening? And so sometimes you even get a triumph and a despair, so you're and they don't cancel each other, so you have to come up with narratively, what does that mean? So I think it does help drive some narrative, which I think is fun. I will say the book where you get to be a Jedi isn't out yet. That's my biggest beef with Star Wars. Everyone wants to be a goddamn Jedi.
Yeah.
But I'm Jedi suck. Don't be them. They're boring and stupid and overpowered in every game. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the iconic figure, though. I think they did a service by doing Scum and Villainy first to kind of, get people into the system and let them get in and fool around and get a feel for it and play those shadier characters.
Yeah,
and
I really dig Age of Rebellion, actually. I like the character classes in it a lot, too, which we're actually mixing into our kind of Edge of the Empire type game. Edge of the Empire is like the Outer Rim type stuff, which I think is, to me, more interesting. But again, I guess that's something else that I thought of earlier today that I didn't mention, that I am a more, street level superhero type guy versus 4-color Hulk style, Avengers style superhero, where I like the heroic tier of D&D 4E versus Paragon, and way more than epic, where I feel like you're just so stupidly powerful it doesn't matter.
Right.
So that's why I think I also enjoy introducing new systems, is because you're always kind of starting off at that ground level of not being an ultra badass with Thor's hammer smashing every demon god in the head and killing him in 2 shots. So, I like when you're kind of struggling a little bit. So I tend to skew more towards that. So I like introducing new systems because everyone always kind of starts from the ground up then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first 5 or 6 levels in D&D are usually my favorite, because you're really, you're learning your character, you're kind of getting into things, you're, sort of figuring out what's going on with the world, and there's a lot more, there's more risk, obviously, because your characters aren't as overpowered, and, those levels tend to be a lot more fun, and it's new still. You get at the 30th level, you've been playing for a long time.
Yeah.
Or even Paragon. I mean, the campaign that Vince ran, we played for had to be 4 or 5 years. Now we only played once, maybe twice a month, so we didn't play all the time. But still, it's a long time to be invested with one character. I mean,
yeah, and I just think it's you run into what I ran into in Paragon, and what I run into anytime you run Rogue Trader. Is like Rogue Trader, you start more powerful than, it's literally the Paragon of the 3 books from the Warhammer series. So, right, there's Dark Heresy, then there's Rogue Trader, then there's Death Watch. But, like, you either kill the people, like, if an encounter either kills everyone or is too easy. I had a very hard time balancing, and that might just be a mechanics issue, but I'm not sure anyone in my experience has ever solved that kind of mid-level game breaking issue of, like, how do I challenge the people so that it seems like they actually are fighting something with a challenge or overcoming a challenge without it being like, I roll a gajillion dice and win, or it doesn't matter what I roll, that thing kills us.
Right.
That's what I have a hard time. I don't know a lot of games that balance that well, which again, that's why I kind of like the early tiers, early levels of a lot of games, and running those multiple systems lets you kind of not ever advance. Even if you're running multiple campaigns, you never get to, like, you don't advance as quickly to that point where you're just like, I roll and win with everything.
Well, that's with the Rogue Trader. I mean, I literally blew up a planet.
Yeah.
That's satisfying.
Yeah.
I mean, you rolled like a 0 for Christ, or like a 1, which is like the bet. Like, I roll a 1, and it's like, you do uncalculatable amounts of damage. Like, it's like, there's no point. And so, it's fun.
The in-game result was, though, that it fucked up all of our salvage that we were gonna get, because it just blew everything to shit.
Yeah. I mean, it was, it had. I thought, you can balance it some, but yeah, I think that's. I don't know. I haven't run into a lot of systems. I think the early levels, it's always tweaked toward those.
Sure.
Or maybe that's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just really shitty at balancing that out.
It's a very crunchy system, so there's a lot of math you got to do to make sure that all works out.
Yeah. Or I just throw shit at people and think. I think the other thing is, if you one shots, you're not as scared to kill somebody either. I'll just kill somebody. I don't care if it actually rolls that I played that. What it was a Star Wars Saga edition. Maybe I wasn't. Was I running it? I think I was running it, and I literally killed somebody first shot of the entire game. Stormtrooper shoots the Wookiee and, like, uber crits him. Like, it was a Wookiee, he was like a melee Wookiee. And he had like a vibro axe, and an Imperial soldier literally shot him for like 3 times his hit point maximum, and it just immediately like murdered him. And I was like,
They're
"Oh,
brutal.
you're dead."
Was that
you're
Mike?
dead, Sarge. It might have been Mike, actually. It might have been him.
That was the forum game, right?
Yeah.
That was the one where I nailed the sentient beaver.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
Beaver.
That game was...
Do I want to know?
I don't remember what race that is, but there is a race that's basically a beaver.
Yeah, I nailed the beaver. I don't even remember why. I think just because.
Did you say
Yeah, I think it's...
were you about to say I nailed a beaver?
I did. I fucked the shit out of a sentient beaver.
All right. I'm going to leave that one alone because that's just...
See, this is what fun listeners can have on a forum game.
Exactly. Nailing sentient beavers and
if your GM hasn't introduced a sentient beaver for you to fuck, they're the ones failing, guys.
That's true. That's another post you have right there.
Well, it gets better than that. I think when we infiltrated the Star Destroyer or whatever it was, we wound up we uploaded tentacle porn or something to the computer's hard drive. Or something.
That game went way off. That game went way off the rails. I don't know.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think you uploaded a virus and ended up also making it so that it played tentacle porn on all the monitors. It was a whole thing. But it was, wow, we went way too far on that campaign.
That was all balls out.
But where do you go when you literally explode a character in the first encounter? First shot from anyone in the entire game, straight up murdered a dude. Wow. So you gotta get balls out from there. So, yeah, that's how it goes.
Sweet.
Forum games, you know.
Good times. Well, I tell you what, that was a brutal game because I think a regular blaster was like a 3d8. And you start like 15 hit points or something.
No one understood that. I think everyone thought, I'm Han Solo, or I'm Chewbacca. And you were not. Chewbacca was like, and Han Solo were like 1 or 2 levels from the top. Like 30 was the top level, and they were like 28. So yeah, as a level 1 character, don't fucking run at a stormtrooper, because they look dumb in the movies, but in the games, they're actually good soldiers.
Yeah. Yeah, they will kill you.
Yeah, every time. You do not fuck with stormtroopers. Don't, it's a good time. Good times.
Role-playing.
Nerding out.
Mm-hmm. So have you been able to have sex with anything in your Star Wars game yet, or no?
Let me think. I don't think I have, although my new character, so we're doing a new season that starts this week, and my new character is a droid whose property records were lost in the transition from the Sector Ranger running the police force to the Empire taking over, so he became essentially free. But he's a weirdo who wants to be a human, so he wears clothes, like real clothes, but he's a droid, and he's a law enforcement droid, and his name is Murphy, and he is gonna hit on women and stuff, even though he's a droid, and basically he just tries to be the most stereotypical human that he thinks. Yeah.
Yep.
Except he is a Sector Ranger, which is essentially like the police force, or like a detective. So it was kind of like inspired by Automata, but what if Automata was like the Penny Arcade comic, but what if that robot was a fucking weirdo? And really wants to screw with the rest of his party by pretending to be a human, or wanting to be a human and fitting in, so saying really inappropriate shit.
So it sounds a little...
Alright, you bailed out. What's going on here?
Oh, drop again. How did he fix it last time?
I think he touched his right testicle and lifted...
Looks like that's not working. He muted.
All right, try pulling your pants back up. Stroke the puss. No.
Hold on, am I here?
There you go.
Okay,
There you
I don't know what
The
happened.
puss stroking must have worked.
No, I don't know what happened.
When the cat was on your shoulder, I was just waiting for it to like start licking your neck or some shit.
No, she's good. She's just laying here.
Funny.
So when Tondi left, we probably should have like branded this like the after hours.
Maybe, yeah.
Like we can't even say it's outtakes because we're just rambling at this point.
Well, that's part of the fun.
But I was going to say the guys that do Crit Juice have a Star Wars podcast. Never Tell Me the Odds, and one of the players actually is a droid who thinks he's human. So great
That
minds
silly
think alike,
bastard.
I guess. I don't know. Have you, Neil? Have you listened to that at all, or no? Oh no! Did we lose Neil now too?
Neil.
Oh my God, Neil!
Are you in the chat, sir?
I got dropped. Now I'm back.
Oh, there you
Okay.
go.
Oh, I didn't see you leave. I
Yeah.
was going to say the guys that do Crit Juice also do Never Tell Me the Odds, which is a Star Wars Edge of the Empire podcast, and one of the players is a droid who thinks he's a human.
Oh, well, god damn it. Apparently, hey, copyright law says if you come up with it independently, and I haven't listened to Crit Juice in fucking who knows how long. So,
Those infringers.
that's right. He can eat me. I'm better than them anyway. They suck. I'm gonna go out on a limb. Fuck those guys.
Fuck.
I'm starting internet wars already.
Hey, maybe that's good for our
It is.
listenership.
You get controversy going.
There's nothing better than a
Yeah.
Twitter war.
There you go. All right, I'll leave that to you. You go after those guys, and we'll chime in with the other
Fuck
Twitter.
those fucking fuckers.
I didn't know they still existed, honestly, because I don't listen to any actual plays anymore.
Wow.
Oh no.
So I don't. Yeah, I don't listen to I think what was it? The Brian Posehn one was the last one I used to listen to, but then it just got just wasn't interesting enough.
Well, after Sark left and Blaine took over, it's pretty horrible. Blaine runs the game like every bad high school GM. It's like, okay,
Oh,
we're
no.
gonna go do this thing. Oh, okay, when you get there's a monster, or it's like every time they try to do something, there's something in the way.
Going through the monster manual alphabetically and fighting each monster? Is that what-
Kinda, yeah. It's pretty bad. I still listen because I just enjoy listening to them bullshit and fuck around. But the game itself is terrible. Take that, nerd poker.
Wow. Yeah.
That's right. Well, see, this is why you shouldn't have me on, because all I do is talk shit all the time about everybody. So eventually, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, that podcast, fuck those guys," and then
When you meet up at Necronomicon. What?
I can throw down. I'll be like, "Hey, motherfuckers, you want to go? Let's go." I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of them. What are they, fucking nerds? What do they do all day? Fucking sit around?
Give them atomic wedgies.
That's right. I don't even know what they do. Weren't the Crit Juice guys improv guys? Come on.
I think they're all actually either comedians and/or actors.
Well, I've never heard of them in anything. See, this is how you talk shit on the internet. Anyway, I digress. Those guys are probably cool. Okay, there you go. See, I'm not starting shit. I actually enjoyed them enough.
Sincere.
I'll listen to a recent episode and rejudge.
Okay. Well, they're slow to come out, so you know.
Oh well,
You've got plenty
then
of
fuck
time.
them. You know what? I'm judge, jury, and execution around there. I am the law, and I will just say, yeah, fuck them. I don't care. I have other things to listen to. I'm busy.
We are so far off the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fun
This
for
really. You should probably edit this.
No, there's
Edit.
no editing.
We're gonna edit this in post.
Yeah,
No,
no, it's not.
Yeah, straight up, right forward.
Hey,
Yeah.
It's fun for me because I haven't gotten to really talk to you, Neil, in a long time. So this
I
is
know,
even
it's
if
been a
nobody
while.
else likes it, it's quite enjoyable.
Hashtag go fudge yourselves. Hashtag Twitter war. Hashtag we win. There you go.
You know, all 4 people that are going to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, you got to get some audience here. This controversy is the only. You got to spur some audience. You got to have them mention it. Then all their listeners come in.
That's true. We'll just have to close the comments so we don't have to delete all the fuck yous and you're an asshole.
Leave them, and then that's just more fodder.
There you go. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
Before we offend somebody else.
Fuck those guys too.
Fuck them all. We don't need the audience.
Everybody with a podcast that people listen to. Fuck those guys.
Fuck them all. This is the only one you should be listening to.
This is ended very poorly. Well, this is the kind of thing that you can look forward to the next time that we get Neil and Tondi to come on with us.
That's right.
There is an actual human being named Jesse. He is actually a part of the Legends of Tabletop crew. He had some things going on tonight, so he wasn't able to attend, but there is actually a person, and hopefully we'll be able to get him on next time. And
what is your cat staring intently at?
I have no idea.
Do we not want to know? Because it's down like in your crotch area.
No,
look,
she's up by my head there.
Yeah, but it's just from our angle. It looks. Never mind. All right, go ahead. Keep going.
She could be wanting to rip my throat out. I don't know. Cats always go for the throat.
Yeah, she definitely is thinking about murdering you right now.
She's really very intent. Like her head goes back and forth.
Yeah, she was like, I'm going to go, like, there's the jugular. I see it. Yeah. I can get it right now.
I should probably put my hands up here or something, right, so she doesn't get me?
Yeah, she's definitely waiting to murder you.
Oh, damn it.
You know,
it's a good thing we're wrapping this up. Well, I don't know that Dave from the Shenanigans from Kazan Games would want to be associated with tonight's podcast, but seeing as that we've mentioned him in every other podcast so far, I figure we'll keep that streak going. So, hey, go check out Kazan Games and order Shenanigans, the card game. It's a tons of fun, and you'll like it, so go buy it. It's pretty cheap. Thumbs up. Again, that doesn't really work on an audio podcast.
Yeah, that.
Well, yeah, it's still live, and it will be posted.
This is true.
So. Hashtag thumbs up.
There you go.
Hashtag audio podcast.
Hashtag I disavow all knowledge of what I've said. The things that Neil says are in no way endorsed by the Legends of Tabletop podcast.
Yeah, no.
Hashtag things that Neil says.
Yeah. I can't help it. If someone gives me a microphone, I'm going to talk shit. I'm sorry, that's what I do.
Okay, on that note, we are definitely going to wrap this. Thank you for listening. This has been episode number 4 of Legends of Tabletop. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.